After a long, eventful, almost 2 months of postseason NBA basketball, only 2 teams remain. The Denver Nuggets making their first ever finals appearance led by 2-time MVP Nikola Jokic, and the Miami Heat led by Jimmy Butler, who are the second ever 8 seed to make the NBA Finals and are making their second finals appearance in the last 4 years. These playoffs have been amazing, and the NBA has had more parity than it has in a long time. This is going to be the second finals in 11 years without LeBron, Steph, or Kawhi winning the title. And before the 2023 NBA Finals kick off, we're here to talk about it. So without further ado, let's get into it. And starting with the Western Conference champion, Denver Nuggets. They finished with a 53-29 record, topping the West in the regular season and running through the Timberwolves, Suns, and Lakers. Jamal Murray has once again turned into a superstar in the playoffs, and Nikola Jokic continues to play like the best player in the NBA. In these playoffs, Murray is averaging almost 28 points and 6 assists on nearly 60% true shooting. And his running man Nikola Jokic has also been spectacular. His numbers on the 2023 NBA postseason are 30, 13, and 10 on 62% true shooting. This team has had the second best scoring offense in the playoffs, and their supporting cast around their 2 stars that features Michael Porter Jr., who in these playoffs is averaging almost 15 points, 8 boards, and 2 assists on 59% true shooting and 41% from 3. Another very good 3-point shooter in Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and 2 stout defensive players that also have some offensive talent in Aaron Gordon and Bruce Brown. The Nuggets are very well rested going into this series, having 10 days off prior to Game 1 on Thursday, and home court advantage at one of the hardest places to play in the league. And when teams have had extended rest prior to Game 1 of the NBA Finals, they are 8-1 up to this point. As for the Heat, they have made a miraculous run back to the NBA Finals, of course led by Jimmy Butler, and while he is the top dog on this team, undrafted role players such as Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, and Max Strus have all played huge roles in getting them to this point. Martin was especially great in the Eastern Conference Finals, outplaying Jaylen Brown and averaging 19, 6, and 2 on 60, 49, 87 splits and nearly 74% true shooting, while also being a major contributor on the defensive end. And that's been the key for Miami, especially with Tyler Hero out during this run. Their role players hitting big shots after big shots and competing on the defensive end, as they have the 5th best defense in the playoffs, led by All-Star Bam Adebayo, someone who has been inconsistent on the offensive end but consistently great on the other side of the ball. The Heat's defense throughout these playoffs has done a great job shutting down guys such as Jaylen Brown and Julius Randle, and a lot of credit for that not only goes to their guys but also Erik Spoelstra, who is arguably the best coach in the league, making his 6th finals appearance. The Nuggets in this series are definitely the favorites, as they coasted through the West and had a much better regular season record. They go into Game 1 favored by 9 points, but the Heat have been doubted all playoffs, and they cannot be overlooked. If they are going to win this series though, a lot of things have to go right for Miami, and first off, their role players have to continue to shoot at a high level. The likes of Caleb Martin, Max Strus, Gabe Vincent, and Duncan Robinson all need to continue to step up as they have in the first 3 rounds. In my previous video on the Heat, I was saying in almost every game they've won in this postseason, you've gotten a really good performance from one of Jimmy Butler or Bam Adebayo, but almost every win you've gotten a performance from one of those guys, Vincent, Strus, Martin, or Lowry, or Duncan Robinson. One of those guys has a great shooting game, and they're going to need that to continue in the finals, especially against quite possibly the best offensive team in the league. Miami has to find a way to keep up, and while Jimmy is great, he's not going to do it all by himself, especially against a team as good as Denver. By far the biggest matchup of this series is Bam Adebayo versus Nikola Jokic. Jokic we know is the better player by some margin. That doesn't take away from the fact that Bam is a 2-time All-Star and a 4-time All-Defensive Team selection center. And while he has a very, very tall task guarding arguably the best player in basketball right now, if he could stay out of foul trouble and at least somewhat keep him in check, that would be huge. In his career, Jokic is 10-2 versus Adebayo. He's averaging 22, 11, and 7 on 55, 46, 83 splits when matched up against the Kentucky product. Another reason the Heat desperately need Adebayo to step up is their serious lack of depth at the big spot, with a 30-year-old Cody Zeller who's only averaging 9 minutes a game being his backup. One thing Miami may try is to put another player on Jokic, maybe someone like Jimmy Butler, but that will be harder because they don't have a lot of size. But they may try to replicate what the Lakers tried, putting Rui Hachimura on Jokic and then letting their all-defensive team talent in Anthony Davis roam a little more and try to limit Jokic's great passing, finding other guys, and doing that would also probably help Adebayo stay out of foul trouble a bit more. The chances they do that successfully, though, I certainly wouldn't count on. And going into this series, I definitely would pick Denver. But there also is the wild card of Tyler Hero. Can he come back? We were talking about the support around Jimmy Butler, and they need guys who can hit shots consistently, which they have gotten all throughout the playoffs, but they now play a better offensive team than they have seen in the first 3 rounds, and a team that has so many weapons and the best offensive player in basketball. And while they are going to try to stop Denver, they only really can so much. They have to find a way to keep up at least somewhat and keep themselves in games, keep games close, so that when it gets to crunch time, we know how good this team can be down the stretch, and they have a guy in Jimmy Butler who can hit big shots. But if they're going to do that, they're going to need offensive firepower, and that's where Tyler Hero comes in, a 20-point-per-game scorer who's a very good shooter and a very good perimeter scorer. And while they have thrived without him in this postseason, this is their biggest test yet, and I think if they can get him back in this series, that would really, really help. I think this finals is fascinating though, because it really isn't a type of matchup we get too often. A team such an underdog in the Heat, but a team that you have to say has a real chance because they've done it before. They've gotten to the finals before. They have a top 12, 10 player in Jimmy Butler, and they have the best coach in the league, and a team in Denver who's really built what they have. They haven't had any big free agent signings. They just built up to this point, and they play really fun to watch basketball. And I think it's going to be a great series, but my pick would be the Denver Nuggets in 6 games. Nikola Jokic is simply too good, and Jamal Murray is playing like a top 15 player in these playoffs. If Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, KCP, Bruce Brown can continue to thrive in their supporting roles, I don't see any reason why they can't go all the way and defeat this Heat team. I think it will be a fun and feisty series, as if you guys remember, a few years back, these teams had some beef over the Jokic and Morris fight, and there definitely was some bad blood, it seemed like, after that incident. But I think we're in for a great finals. I thank y'all for watching, and peace out.